is going on, and welcome to episode 8 of the Game Time Podcast, your weekly video game and sports update with your boys, SnowBikeMike and Tom Bock. Of course, I'm one of your hosts, SnowBikeMike, and I am joined with my best friend on the planet, Tommy Gun Tom Bock. How you doing this week?
Dude, I am doing so great. I had such a great time watching all the E3 stuff this week, and I can't wait to kind of get into this and talk to you about it.
Tom Bock, it's a big week, and you know what? Episode 8 is going to be a special one. It's an E3 2018 takeover. So topic number 1 is going to be smaller developers conferences. Then we'll move into topic number 2, which of course will be some NBA Finals talk. And then topic number 3, we'll get into the big boy developers out there. We're talking about the big press conferences. So let's kick it off with topic number 1. Let's move right into it. EA. Tom Bock, what did you think of this conference?
So I think I told you before we started recording, I wrote down one word that I kind of took away from every one of the conferences. And this is going to sound horrible, but for EA, I wrote the word stale. And it was really because there was kind of no surprises. I think there was not a lot that they really showed me that was that exciting. But it was what I expected from EA. That's kind of how EA is. That's what the way that they kind of operate as a company with a lot of the annualized stuff that they have. I thought it was really interesting, though, that they came out and apologized quite a bit, both at the beginning and kind of throughout about some of the mistakes they've made, whether around loot boxes, the monetization stuff that they've kind of gotten in a lot of hot water. You know, they've got a weird relationship, I think, with their fans that's sort of like a love-hate relationship, right? Kind of love the annualized games and some of the other big franchises they have. But on the flip side, man, they've wandered off the track a little bit, and I think that they did a nice job, at least to me, listening to them, at least take a little bit of accountability and ownership for some of the stuff that they've done recently that really hasn't been gamer friendly. So from that standpoint, I thought it was good, but man, there was no surprises, kind of stale. They did show some good games we'll talk about in a few moments with Vince Zampella that kind of caught me, was sort of interesting with the new Star Wars game. But man, it was pretty bland, pretty blah, but it was EA, so I don't think I had that high of expectations. What about you?
Oh, Tom Bock, I agree. I think this was probably the weakest of all of the conferences that we saw. I agree. It was very interesting to see them come out half apologetic, really wearing those beat up sleeves that they had. I mean, all year long, they've been beat down by their customers, by their people that love them. And man, that was tough to watch, but you know what? I like that they had owned up to it. They said, we're going to better ourselves. We're going to better this brand and this company. And what I took away, man, if it wasn't for the busiest lady in the biz, Andrea Renee, hosting that event, I might have snoozed right through it because that one was lackluster. And if it wasn't for that lovely lady trying to bring the hype and help this company, that one was bad. Big takeaway, of course, though, FIFA 18 coming out, FIFA 19, my apologies, coming out third year in a row. We're going to follow Alexis Hunter right there on his career path. I think that's pretty wild. You've never seen a game actually follow the same player for 3 years in a row on a story mode. So you'll jump back in with Alex Hunter. Think that's pretty cool, Tom Bock. I like that. No word, though, of the long shot mode for Madden. That was pretty interesting. That was tough to watch, though. Juju Smith and that Madden champion. I mean, whoa, was that bad, Tom?
It was like drop out. I mean, it's like I could have either, what did he say, gone to my graduation, and like, yeah, I dropped out of school basically to go play video games. Not the message you need to be putting out there if you're EA. That was really so cringeworthy, man. That was really bad.
That was bad, Tom. And then we moved on to a mobile game. The only thing that made me perk up was the shoutcaster. You know me, an aspiring shoutcaster one day in my life. I saw him come on. I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. And then they were like, we're going to play a mobile game. And I was like, I'm going to close my eyes for the next 20 minutes. And whoa, that was the bad move right there. And Command and Conquer, what a great name, great title. You're going to put it on a phone? That seems kind of weak to me, Tom.
Yeah, it seemed really strange, and the fact that we didn't even know what game it was for the vast majority of watching it seemed like a huge. I mean, why not say what that game is up front? Because it was clearly so different than the old Command and Conquers that you would have. I don't know. By the time you saw what game it was, you're like, "Holy cow! I wasn't even watching this for the last 10 minutes because I didn't even know what it was." So yeah, that was a huge miss. The other games that were great, man. I thought the Anthem stuff was fantastic. That game looks really, really interesting to me. At least what they showed of it looked great. I don't know if they gave a release date on that one or even a window for it, but man, that game looks pretty far along. Looks really fantastic. Really excited for that. Why they didn't show more Battlefield 5, I'm amazed by. It's a this year game, right? We agreed that it was coming out this year. Why are they not showing way more of that game? That is a absolute tentpole game for them. That blows my mind that they're not showing more of that game. That seemed like a huge missed opportunity to show more of that. The biggest thing for me, like we talked about, was kind of the Vince Zampella thing, right? Was when Andrea went down in the crowd, and again, as you said, she did a great job, man. There was some kind of quiet moments for the crowd, seemed kind of awkward. She was trying to kind of keep it all together. I mean, she did a fantastic job with that. But the fact that they talked about the new Star Wars game, what's it called, Jedi Fallen Order, pretty cool, right? They bought Respawn last year. There's some big expectations, I'm sure, out of that studio and what they're going to be able to do. And if they take kind of the shooting Titanfall mechanic and they put it into a Star Wars game, dude, that could really be something special. I think that was the biggest, most exciting part of that conference for me, was just that one little 1 minute that she spent talking to Vince, or however long that went on for.
Totally, Tom. I agree. I think that was the biggest moment. I actually am on the opposite side of Anthem. I'm a little lukewarm right now. Okay. I see it as another Destiny 2 type game. I don't know if I can get truly behind another one like that. I think they're really going to have to pull out the stops for me to want to jump into this after playing so much Destiny. So we'll see where I fall on that. I think EA missed the mark. No Skate 4. That was a big one for me. You and I talked before the show. I mean, they have so many titles in the bag that they should be pulling out. There's no reason to not pull these out. I mean, give me SSX Tricky. Give me an NBA Street. Give me something to make me get up out of my seat and get a little hype up for. But, man, I thought that was a meh conference, honestly, Tom.
Dude, I'm surprised, too. Like you said, they've got all these great sort of publishing rights to a lot of big games, a lot of big series that people have been clamoring for. And it's not like they don't know it, right? I mean, they hear it as much as anybody does about. And I know games are hard, and I don't mean to make this sound easy. But, man, you'd think that they would go at least think about, if they're not already kind of working on them, the Dead Spaces of the world, the Skates of the world. I don't know why they're not kind of embracing that more. You don't need to keep showing Madden. You don't need to keep showing FIFA. I know you have to keep putting those games out because they pay the bills. Those games sell a bajillion copies. But as we talked about, you're not gonna convince anybody in that demonstration for an hour to go buy another copy of Madden or FIFA. You're either gonna buy it or you're not. You're not gonna win any new people at E3. So I just think they missed an opportunity to sort of do something different. But maybe next year, maybe the year after, they kind of start thinking about putting these games out that everybody's been kind of beating the crap out of them to want to go kind of develop. So we'll see.
Agreed, Tom. Well, that is EA. We're gonna move on to Square Enix. Tom Bock, EA, meh?
Meh.
All right, let's move on to Square Enix.
That said, Square is really only a publisher at this point. They don't really develop a whole heck of a lot of anything. I thought what they did talk about was fine. It was what I expected. It was right to the point. Dude, I think it clocked in at like 28 minutes or something like that, right? It was super, super quick. As far as games go, obviously they kind of Shadow was the big one, a Tomb Raider. I thought that was cool, kind of watching the way that they did it, because I think it was in probably 2 other conferences, if I'm not mistaken. Shadow the Tomb Raider was. The Nier Autonomous stuff was cool. That's a game that I loved and spent a shitload of time with last year. So I don't think I'll go back to it just because I kind of know what happens. And it's a huge game that would be hard to repeat. But I think for big fans of that series, I think that was kind of a cool announcement. Kingdom Hearts, dude, does nothing for me. It's so not my jam. I don't get Kingdom Hearts. I've never gotten it. I'll never get it. I'm baffled by people that do get it. Like I heard your reaction. I guess you're a Kingdom Hearts guy. I don't get it. Like I don't get it. And then the last one was the Octopath Traveler one, which was cool. I played that demo. I thought that was really cool. That'll be a great Switch game. Square was good. I couldn't complain either way. It was quick. It was bada bing, bada boom, in and out. It was what it needed to be for a publisher like Square. It was perfect.
I think you knocked it out, Tom. Is right. For a smaller conference publisher, the 30 minutes was right on the dot. We didn't spend too long a time on any particular game. We hit on our big milestones, which was Tomb Raider. Looks amazing. I mean, oh my gosh. Lara Croft is going to bring it to you here this fall or whatever, spring, whenever it comes out. I wrote down Just Cause 4. I like that game. I think the sandboxy vibe is a fun time. I am the world record holder of longest wingsuit on that video game. I know you're coming for my record. I'm just letting you know that I like that. I wrote down favorite moment was definitely Octopath Traveler releasing the date of July 13th. You get a free demo number 2 right now, and that progress will carry over to the game. Will I play that? I don't know, but I'm definitely playing the big release. And Kingdom Hearts, like you said, I gave you a little bit of a shot right there because I'm not a Kingdom Hearts guy at all. Never played the game, but I'm getting more interested every single trailer I see. You got that Disney, you got that Pixar, you got all of your favorite characters growing up, and I'm like, man, am I going to try this game? It looks more of like a Final Fantasy 15 combat system instead of turn-based or anything. It seems a little more movie, a little hacky-slashy, so I can get behind a game like that. And with my favorite characters, I'm kind of into it. So Square Enix, for me, short, to the point, and hit on some titles that I wanted to talk about. So good on them. They didn't waste my time, which I'm happy about.
Yeah, I forgot about Just Cause, dude. Just Cause was actually one of my favorite games of last gen. Like, that's a fantastic game. I put way too many hours into that game, DLC, everything. That's a fantastically good game. I can't believe I forgot to talk about that. Dude, no Final Fantasy VII remake, which was weird. Like, that was one I thought for sure that they would talk about because they showed that, what, a year ago? Or was that 2 years ago that they started talking about that?
It's been a while. It's been a while.
Like, I don't think that game's ever really coming out. I really don't. I think that's all a bunch of, kind of like what has happened with Kingdom Hearts. It just keeps getting pushed and pushed, and God knows where it is now. And then the Life is Strange Dontnod, that developer.
Captain
that one,
Spirit.
Yeah. That seemed pretty cool.
I'm not digging that, Tom. I'm not digging it. I'm not digging it, Tom.
Something different.
Okay, I can dig that. Yeah, nailed that one. I think Square Enix did a good job, short and briefly like that. Moving on to our final smaller conference, let's talk about Ubisoft. Now, you and I, last week, I talked about it, Tom. I said, will Aisha Tyler come back and grace this stage for these nerds out there? And guess what? She did not, Tom.
She did not.
So we started off with the Party Panda and, of course, their biggest franchise, Just Dance 2019. Let me tell you what. I did not like that. I know a lot of people are saying they liked the live music. They thought it was all right. It was, fast enough. But you know what, Tom? Nothing will beat when Jason Derulo graced the stage with his sick dance moves and danced around and just Dance whatever year it was. So I just couldn't get behind the Panda. I was like, where's Jason Derulo when you need him? But I will say, wow, it's still coming out on the Wii, Tom. Are you kidding me? This title's still coming out on the Wii?
That's insane. There's such a huge install base out there for that game. That, by the way, if like Aisha Tyler had been in the Party Panda suit at the end, that would have actually been pretty cool,
Tom
right?
Bock.
She rips off the head and she's right there. That would have been awesome.
How much money you got to pay that woman to do that? How much money I got to pay that lady to do that? But I will say her presence definitely was felt. She was not there. It was definitely a different conference, but I think they did a pretty good job touching on some of the titles that I wanted to see. We got that live concert for Rayman Donkey Kong crossover. I don't think we needed that. We didn't need to reset the stage just to give me a small trailer like that. I mean, music's cool and all, but we didn't need that. What were some of the other takeaways? Because honestly, I'm forgetting some of the Ubisoft stuff. Oh, I know what we'll talk about shortly.
No, lay it on me now. Go. What is it?
Assassin's Creed, right?
Yeah,
is that what we're talking about?
They closed with Odyssey. Yeah, they did.
Tom, I mean, we talked about this, you and I. This is like the 7th title in a row for Assassin's Creed to be leaked, and by a keychain of all things. But, man, that Greece era looking game looks beautiful. The combat looks insane. I might even play as the chick. They made that girl look so much fun.
They did.
And I normally don't play as girls. I usually try to play as close to myself as possible. But, man, she made it look good. And I think I'm going to go with her route this time through that story mode.
Dude, you know what's interesting, too, is they made such a big deal about skipping a year, right? That they had, I think, a couple of games in 2014, like literally 2. They had one in 2015. Then they skipped. They had great success, obviously, with Origins. But now they're back on the annualized thing again. So I think we talked a couple of weeks ago about this game. Like, I loved Origins. I thought it was great. But if this game is a lot like Origins, let's just say it comes out and it's really similar, which it kind of looked like it was, at least what I saw. Yeah, it looked cool. But it looked a lot like Origins. And so if they get back in this rut again of every year, I don't know, man. I feel like the reason Origins was so good is because it was so different. It didn't feel like anything else we played before, right? It had some of the tenets of old Assassin's Creed, but it didn't really. If they get back in that groove, look, it's a big company, publicly traded company. They got to sell a lot of units. It's going to be frustrating to me if they kind of go back there every year. I hope this one's different enough from Origins. I doubt it will be. But it looked really cool. Let me see, what else did I take? Dude, by the way, Just Dance is that thing went on way too freaking long. That
Way too
intro
long,
was
Tom.
way too long, dude. That
Way
was
too
like
long.
10 minutes too long.
The-
And Just Dance is exactly like Madden and FIFA to me, which is you're not going to sell another cop. Your audience is not in that audience. Like the people who buy Just Dance are my 12-year-old kids, right? Like they're not watching E3 press conferences. I promise you they're not. So why do you waste your time showing something that the audience, you got to know your audience, and that's not your audience for Just Dance that's sitting in that room. It's just not. I'm sorry. Oh, dude, Beyond Good and Evil they showed, which was
oh my
at least you
God.
saw a little bit of it, but what have you played the first one? Did you ever play the first one?
I have never played the first one. I think they might be giving it away on Xbox, or it's on backwards compatibility. I saw it on sale right now. But man, watching those trailers, Tom, how stylized, how intense those are. Mind you, they're just CGI trailers. But whoa, Tom, that game has got me sold. I can't wait for this game to come out.
Yeah, it's interesting. What's weird to me about it is that's one that nostalgically I think people think of better than it really was, right? It's sort of like everybody's got this love for shit that's old. That game was okay. It wasn't great, and it's literally been that was the original Xbox, if I'm not mistaken. Chat could probably tell me if I'm wrong, or maybe 360 at the latest. I want to say I played it like it was an OG Xbox version on the 360. Be that as it may, I mean, call that something new. Like, why wouldn't I don't understand why you wouldn't try to get a new IP. I don't think there's a big name there to capitalize on. That game was never that huge in the first place, but it is what it is. It did look really cool. I'm excited for them. I love it when they try something new. I think that thing is definitively going to be something new, even if it's called Beyond Good and Evil. It's got nothing to do with the other game because that freaking game was 15 years ago. You were like 5 years old back then, I think. So, dude, there's no way that game's going to be anything close to what the first one was.
Agreed. And then Joseph Gordon-Levitt coming out with the Space Monkey program, where they want to have your music, they want to have your cool art, whatever. They want you to add to this game. Cool, Greg. Where you at? Kind of funny, cool, Greg. Let's get some graffiti art out there. Let's get some hot tunes. If you're a music maker, I think that's pretty cool.
Dude, it's really cool, and they're gonna pay, which is really cool. Like as soon as I heard that, I'm like, oh, this is bullshit, because they're just gonna take people's stuff, put it in there, make money off it, but they're actually gonna pay you for using rights to your stuff. So I mean, props to them for putting together kind of a cool community sourced thing.
Yeah, I
dude,
think that's a cool one.
Other stuff that really caught me. Dude, I think we talked about this before. I'm fascinated by the Rainbow Six Siege story of a game that came out that didn't do that great, and it's however many years later, and it's as big as PUBG or any of the other games that are out there. They keep adding to it. It's a totally different game from when it was first released. That's a cool way that they've done with that game. I mean, props to them. That went on a little bit too long too, but they've done great with that game.
No doubt, Tom Bock. The documentary coming out about the pro players and the pro league that they're pouring all the money into. I mean, this esports one really took off. I think we're going to talk about another esports title that came out in a different conference that just fell flat. This one, I felt like the crowd was behind it and interested. Like, man, yeah, this has been such a success story with this game. Man, they're making a pro league about it. Totally cool. And I think they had the crowd. As we'll talk about another conference, I think the esports genre went flat with these guys. That was pretty cool on the Ubisoft side. One I missed for you, Tom, Division 2. We're heading to Washington, D.C., and man, that trailer looked fun. The gameplay looked good. I got to join MC Fixer in the My Xbox and Me podcast for the post show, and one of their takeaways was, man, I hate how they kind of stylize gamers like we're talking like Rainbow Six, Fox Leader, go that way, go this way.
Right.
And I told him, I said, hey, Fix, I really like how they did it this year, because in years past, it would have been 4 Gabones on the computer itself walking around like, hey, Tom, go left, and then we would have had to wait 4 seconds. At least it was cut, produced, and ready to go, which was nice. I liked that one a lot.
Yeah, it was, and I'm sure that's going to be a great game, dude. The spring of next year is insane. That game is, I think, middle of March.
Yeah,
we'll talk
March or February is the death month.
Dude, it's
right now.
February 22nd in particular. That is one day that 18 games are releasing on, which is insane when that happens. Somebody made a joke of it'd be funny to watch Rockstar move Red Dead to that day and just watch everybody else scramble off of it, right? which would be great. Dude, they showed another For Honor. I didn't play much For Honor at all.
Oh,
I've
okay,
got
yeah,
it.
uh-huh.
I own it, but I never played it. They showed some stuff that looked kind of cool. The Crew 2, I also bought the Crew. I think I played like an hour of it. It never really grabbed me. Dude, Skull and Bones they showed, which
Whoa, Tom. I
that
liked it.
that
I think it looks
that I
better.
liked too. They looked a lot better. Dude, everybody loved that part of Assassin's Creed. That was by far the best part of it. And an entire game built around that mechanic, even if it's a little dated for what that was, dude, I'm so down for that because that was a riot in Black Flag to play. That was Assassin's Creed 4, I guess officially, wasn't it?
Correct.
Dude, that was fantastic. I mean, that a whole game on that, I think it would be fantastic. Well, I don't know what the date. I think all of those, with the exception of obviously Just Dance, but everything that they showed, the Nintendo Rabbids thing was new, but everything else, Odyssey's this year, but everything else was in the future. So they weren't showing much that was going to happen imminently, right? Everything they had was kind of 2019
Well,
and past.
correct. Odyssey's coming out in October, which
That's
is
right. I would
awesome.
say besides Odyssey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe some of the DLC stuff is coming out sooner than that. Dude, by the way, their relationship with Nintendo is really interesting, right? Nintendo doesn't work with, and I know we'll talk about Nintendo, but they don't work with a ton of third parties, right? That's kind of been their downfall, I think, in recent years, is they just haven't embraced kind of the whole third party ecosystem for some reason. And I think it's way back into kind of the old Rayman days. Like
It's
they've had a tight
Rayman. That's
relationship,
right.
right?
Yeah.
They've been able to do that, and I think that's actually really cool that at least one or two other developers are kind of tight with Nintendo. I think Nintendo's going to need it eventually, and Ubisoft's clearly the one that's going to, probably be closest to Nintendo as the years go by. And dude, by the way, I love Rabbids game, the Kingdom Battle. I'm actually looking forward to that because that game is crazy fun. You're an XCOM guy, dude. It's XCOM with freaking Rabbids and Nintendo characters, so it's definitely cool.
I know. You got me sold, Tom. Every time I go on the eShop, I keep looking to see if it's on sale because I know I want it real bad. But final takeaway thoughts. I got two really quick ones. We did not see Yves Guillemot come out and complain that they're still in the hostile takeover. I don't know if you noticed that, but in years past, he's been talking about how they've been battling back. I don't know who it is, Vivendi or whoever, but this year, he did not make any mention of that, which was very odd. I thought he was going to come out and be like, hey, we need your support. We're trying to battle them still. No mention, so good for them. Hopefully they're in a better place. And no Splinter Cell, which was the big one. Everybody thought Splinter Cell would be at this conference. That was a no-go there.
Yeah, I thought there would be too. But you know what? You got to give props to Ubisoft. The last kind of big bunch of games they've released, I think we talked about it last week, have been really quality games. They've made a big turnaround, man. I mean, we were making fun of them a couple years ago. They were kind of releasing the same crap every year. And then if you kind of Metacritic them over the last 10 games they've released, they've all been really solid. So shout out to them for doing a way better job.
Totally. So that was Ubisoft. We got our final smaller conference, and it's a big boy still. It's still a big stunner, Tom Bock. It's Bethesda. And Tom, you and I had two killer tweets that did not get the traction they deserved because I put out some fire right there, Tom Bock. We got to talk about it. We're going to move into Bethesda to wrap up topic number one. Bethesda coming out with Andrew WK. I think I call him Andrew Dice
Clay.
To sing Let's Party or Let's Party Hard. And I think the big one, Tom, because I wrote you live during the conference, I said, oh, my God, Tom, I think this would have been much bigger if that Walmart leak didn't happen last week and they didn't have to show the trailer, because I think that pushed their hands. If that didn't leak, that would have been him live singing with the trailer for the first time in the background going on, which would have made for a much hyper situation. But it turned into just him singing for about 3.5 minutes, and nobody, I mean, there was free Bud Light at that convention, it looked like. Nobody was getting up on their feet.
Dude, it was terrible. Yeah.
That was a bad start, Tom Bock, and we're going to get into it. I thought Bethesda had a great back end, but their front end, whoa, that was not the right move. From that right there, falling flat, to then we're going to move into the ESO card game, which was just like, hey, y'all like card games? And everybody was like, no, we like Blizzard's card game, Hearthstone. We don't like your card game. It's like, well, I really like this game. I hope y'all like it. I'll see you tomorrow. And it's like, hey, boo, boo. And that one fell flat. And then this is the one I wanted to tell you about. This esports one, Quake Champions. Quake Champions looks dope. I'm not going to lie. The characters look cool. Looks like a cool hero, competitive shooter. But for that dude to come out and be like, hey, y'all like esports? And everybody just crickets in the room, like,
right.
hey, boo, you suck. You know, it's like, okay, bro, that's not hitting there. And so I felt like their first 15 to 20 minutes was just a swing and a miss with the wiffle ball bat. What were your impressions to start, Tom?
It was exactly the same. Like it was so weird to see, especially a performer like Andrew Dice Clay, excuse me. That is so energetic. And dude, the whole crowd was just sitting there. Like that was really hard to watch. Somebody, I mean, shout out to his band for they just kept going, and probably with all the lights on them, they couldn't see that nobody was like, dude, there was no one reacting at all to that, which was really crazy to me. And then I think Pete Hines or somebody made a joke about the leak, which at least they can make fun of the fact that the leak happened, right? I mean, that clearly they didn't expect that to happen, and it did throw their plans off, and they tried as well as they could to kind of recover from it. But dude, the beginning of that was so rough; it was just terrible.
Then we got to move in. We forgot one thing. Was it Doom, or what was the one where we really liked the 7-foot tall older
Magnus.
Thor gentleman, Magnus?
Oh,
I mean,
Lord.
this guy saved the conference for me. If it wasn't for Magnus standing next to this kid that looked like 4'11", I mean, it was amazing right there. That was great.
And the guy wasn't 4'11". He was probably like 6'1", and Magnus was like 18 feet taller than he was. Like that was great watching that guy.
Oh.
Just like to think that that's a real guy too. He's actually like a developer that's just hanging out there. It was pretty great.
I don't even remember what game they were talking about. It might have been Rage 2. I don't know what game they were talking about.
It was early enough in the conference, but yeah, that was funny as hell.
That guy saved the game. We went to Doom 2. Doom 2 is going to be great. That was an awesome shooter for Bethesda. Can't wait for that. The next one was Wolfenstein 2 DLC is what I'm going to call it. Maybe standalone. I don't know. But with the two twin daughters of BJ Blazkowicz, get ready for that. That's going to be fire, I'm sure.
Yeah, dude.
And co-op.
Let me back up one, because this is about halfway through that conference. I remember, I think it was 2 years ago. Chat can correct me if I'm right or wrong. That Bethesda had their first real conference, right? Like everybody's like, "Whoa, Bethesda's going to do one." And this is back when it was only like Microsoft, Sony, Ubisoft, right? And hardly anybody did them. And Bethesda had a year where they came out and did one, and it just happened to be a year, I think, when either Fallout 4 was coming out. Like there was a lot going on, and it was like, wow, these guys, they have that kind of like aw shucks feel to it, not highly produced, right? Kind of like they were never about monetizing stuff like EA. I mean, EA's got like a hate relationship with their fan base. Bethesda doesn't have that, right? Like everybody likes Bethesda. But dude, about halfway through this conference, all I kept thinking was, why are they even doing this? Like they don't have enough. There's not enough here for them to have an entire conference. And so I went back and watched the thing. I think they announced, or they talked about 12 games. Dude, half the 12 games are already out. I mean, Wolfenstein 2 is already out. Prey is already out. ESO is already out. So half the things they talked about, they're there. So you have to have a conference to talk about DLC. Like at some point, I just don't think that they needed to do it. It seemed like it was overly long and drawn out. I mean, the only new stuff that they had were Rage 2, the new Doom, which everybody kind of assumed was going to happen anyway, right? And then Fallout, which was already announced at that point. So I don't know, man. I like Bethesda a lot. I know our boy Gifted Dim, Lifted Kim was kind of cracking on him that night. It just didn't. I just felt like they could have done that. They could do a direct like Nintendo does and just do a tight half hour, and that would have been so much better to me than what they did with Andrew Dice Clay and the whole audience not giving a shit.
Yeah, the first half was tough. Let's move into the second half. We got Fallout 76, now confirmed to be multiplayer. We don't truly know the scope of it because he said, I could play with 4 friends, but it sounds like there's going to be others roaming the territory. Wasn't quite sure how many people are really going to be in that map trying to mess you up. But you can also play it single player. I might just do that. I don't really want Toxic, the try-hard kid, to just come nuke my building all the time. But it would be fun to squad up with 4 friends and play Fallout. Think that's a cool idea. West Virginia Hills, they did look beautiful, but it looked very similar to Fallout 4's landscape. Like, this looked very similar. And really, the turnover time doesn't add up to what they normally would do. And I think they really just progressed right into that using kind of those assets. So it looked very similar to me. But exciting to see 4 people and that collector's edition. Get your own Fallout helmet. I mean, come on. That sounds pretty dope. Then what did we go into? Right after Fallout, we had the fun joke by our man Todd Howard, my dad. He's not my dad, but you know. He had the Alexa joke with Keegan-Michael Key, and
was
that
great.
was hysterical with Skyrim
Hysterical.
being on Alexa. Sounds like it's actually true. So if you want to go out there and play with your Alexa, play some D&D, I guess you could do that because that is pretty awesome right there.
Drink my health potion. Drink my health potion.
Eat all the cheese, y'all. Eat all the cheese, he's yelling. So that one was a good little play on. And then they showed Starlink. This is going to be a sci-fi game, probably very similar to Fallout and Elder Scrolls, I bet, just more in that sci-fi space setting. Tom, did you get a read on that? Or what are you thinking on that?
Yeah, not sure. It felt like it was way too far away, man. And they did that at the whole end of they were talking about stuff that was like the next gen almost to me.
Yeah.
Like I didn't get some of that.
And then my big one that saved Bethesda's conference for me, besides being a snooze fest and a booze fest, that was definitely Elder Scrolls 6. Even though we just got the title screen, I mean, this game should have at least a release date in my mind. We're talking 11/11/11 for Skyrim. Elder Scrolls 6, we're just going to get a panning sprawl out into a title screen. That one was tough for me, but at least it saved my conference in my eyes. That one definitely hit the nail for me.
Yeah, I think they need to rethink if they even need to do one. Like I didn't think that was necessary for them to have one, and especially because 3 of the games I talked about are legitimately 2020 or beyond games. Like, who cares? They're 3 years away. I'll be dead in 3 years. Like, I don't care about those games. Tell me I will say though, having Fallout come out this year is pretty cool. Like that was another cool wrinkle for them. They did it with Fallout 4. Like, hey, it's releasing here really in short order, which was very cool. Dude, I will say though, after just watching that little bit, does any game really do multiplayer and single player that well? Like the same game, where I'm not talking about like a multiplayer mode like Call of Duty that has a campaign and then a multiplayer. It's the same game, multiplayer or single player. I mean, I love Bethesda. Don't mean to be skeptical, but that's going to be really tough to pull that off. To like you said, people are going to be doing. Dude, anytime you get multiplayer, people do stupid shit. Look at us playing PUBG, right? Just dumb. I mean, someone's going to come in and troll your shit. So I don't know if that doesn't fit Fallout for me. It might be fun, but I'm really skeptical on the multiplayer aspect of that game. But we'll see.
Final note for you: I have an odd one. Or Elder Scrolls Blades on mobile. What in the heck is that? That seems like a waste of time for me, but maybe people like phone games. I thought we had that era with that hack and slash phone game back in the day. I forget what it was called.
Oh, yeah.
But I thought that came and went. Very odd that they want to go back to that and then tell you, Tom Bock's playing on his phone, but I am on my VR headset fighting him in VR. I was like, I don't think this looks good at all.
No, dude. And again, know your audience. The people who like mobile games are not at E3. That is not a mobile game conference. Those are for hardcore gamers and people who are dying to see what the next console thing is going to be. Why are you? I mean, that's just the wrong audience, right? I mean, that's not the right people. So,
well, that has been our smaller conferences. You can tell we had some good, we had some bad, we had some meh in the middle. But that's topic number 1. Tom Bock, let's blow the whistle. Let's jump into topic number 2 for a quick little sports talk. A little NBA Finals matchup right there between the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers. We went on record last week saying we thought the Warriors were going to slap this team pretty quick. And sure enough, Tom Bock, they put the hammer down on poor LeBron James and company 4-0 real quick. Tom, any big takeaways from that?
Other than we kind of thought, I didn't think it would be 4-0. I thought for sure Cleveland would at least get 1 or 2. The LeBron's hand thing, I mean, who knows what that played in. By the way, I didn't love the way that all happened. We can talk about that in a minute. But look, Golden State, as we talked about on every podcast we did from the beginning, their best, when they're at their best, is better than anybody else's best. Houston's the only team that came close, and they got really damn close. And if you were to replay that series again and again, Houston probably wins half of them, right? Just as if Chris Paul's healthy, right? So that could have gone either way. But man, I am shocked that was 4-0. I thought they would take a couple. Golden State is just that good.
Too good.
Dude, too good. Steph didn't even get MVP, and he played out of his mind in 3 of those 4 games. If he hadn't had that one stinker, he would have averaged like 36, I think, or something crazy. So, dude, they're good as just too good at this point. It's too good.
Too good. And so that kind of leads us into two things I want to touch on. I know you got the LeBron James issue we want to talk about as well. One thing I want to touch on during the parade for Golden State, the owner out there went on to look KD directly in the eyes, tell him, we'll give you anything you want to sign. He said, I'll give you the keys to the city. I don't know what you want. And KD looked at him and said, I just want to keep playing high-level basketball. I don't think he's leaving. I think they got a good one here. I'm putting it on. I think KD's re-signing with this squad.
Oh, dude, he's for sure re-signing. I mean, people will scoff when I make the comparison. He's a lot like Brady in the sense that it's not going to be all about the money. Obviously, Brady's got his unbelievably wealthy wife, so it's a different situation. But KD's not doing this for the money. I mean, they get paid ridiculously anyway. And if he's got to take a little bit less money in order to sign everybody, because to keep that nucleus together, you've got 4 almost supermax players, right? You've got to be in the All-Star game, MVP, whatever the different categories are to get supermax. There's 4 of them on the team. So you can't do that in a hard cap situation. I mean, it's kind of a hard cap. It's a little soft in spots, but still – he's going to have to take less. Everyone's going to have to take less, but I think those personalities are the type that are willing to do that. So I think they're all going to stay. This run is far from over in my mind.
I agree with that, Tom. And I'm going to let you take control of LeBron because my topic is going to be where will LeBron land next. So let's work into yours, and then we'll work right into mine here.
Yeah, man, I don't know about you, and I'm not trying to hate on LeBron because I love LeBron, and it's going to come across like I'm trying to hate on him. But I just thought the thing with his hand was in really poor form, right? Right in the press conference, right as you lose, you roll out in the cast and say you hurt your hand in game 1, right? Right at the very moment that you just lost. There was 2 times to do that. One was right after you did it in game 1, and I understand why you wouldn't do it there because all of a sudden people know you're injured, but that would have been one way to do it. And then the second one is never. Don't ever bring it up. Just swallow your pride, and you know, and everyone around you knew that you had a broken hand, and that should be enough to you. The world doesn't need to know, because otherwise it comes across like an excuse. I'm sorry, but it does. When you roll out there like that and go, oh my God, my hand's been broken for 3 straight games now, I just thought he's better than that, man.
I agree, Tom. You want to be the best in the world? Don't even bring that up.
Don't bring it up.
You're the best. You lost. Be a sore or be a good loser and just walk off. I don't need to see you in a cast. I don't need to hear you make excuses. We knew coming into this that you did not have the team to compete with Golden State. You don't got to tell us why you lost. We knew why you lost. You just got outshone, and you should have just walked away and called it good. I think that's a low blow is right, and especially where we're going to move into mine, will he leave Cleveland to end the sports talk? That would put a big damper on my respect level, and if I was a hometown hero of LeBron, knowing that his end was, I hurt my hand. No, LeBron, just went out there, give it your all. We didn't have the squad. We understand. We still love you as a hero, but don't put something on us like that.
No, dude, you know how many guys could claim that they were hurt? I mean, I realize that's a really serious injury on a shooting hand and all those kinds of things, and it's probably a more serious injury than most. But how many guys could, during any series, go, I was hurt? I was playing with something. You don't ever hear about that. They don't come out and say it afterwards. I don't know. That was just kind of weird. So what do you think he's going to do? What is your thought about where he's going to go now?
I think he's going to L.A. See, now here's going to be the question that we're going to talk about. It's tough to think he'll go to the Western Conference because that puts him against Houston and Golden State in the Western Conference Finals, hypothetically, which then he wouldn't go to the finals. This man has been to the NBA Finals 8 years in a row. This could be 10. He could make it a decade in a row and really set a record here. I truly believe that. So it's tough to picture him leaving the East Coast, but I could see him going to L.A., big money, sign whoever you want. This is your squad. You can live with the family in luxury, in the sunshine, leave Cleveland. I'm going to put my money on L.A.
Dude, that's an interesting call, but for the reason you said, I don't think he's going to go. I mean, I think he'd be more inclined to join Houston than he would be to play against him, as weird as that would be, and I don't know how they would structure all that. But I don't see him going to LA for that exact reason. It's going to diminish his ability to get there. He's got one kid in high school, I think, right, and one kid and who's balling, by the way, and like all the colleges are trying to sign already. And another kid, I think, is like my oldest age, like 12 or 13. Yeah. So he's got to be thinking about moving them with all the stuff you've got to do to change schools and everything. I think he stays put, dude. Like you said, if he goes and jumps, let's say he goes to Philly or one of the Eastern teams that's got a real chance, or like a New Orleans or someone like that, right? People are going to, I don't know, I just think it's going to diminish and he may not care at this point. I don't know what his overall, what is he, 3-6 in finals now? I think something like that, right? So is it going to take anything away from him if he goes and joins like another quote unquote super team? Probably not. I mean, everybody else would love to do it. Why shouldn't he go do it? I think he can do it and stay where he is and get people to come there. I realize it's Cleveland. No offense, people in Cleveland who may be listening to this, but that's not LA. That's not, a big market where you're going to get people. But why not stay and build around him and keep his family where it is in Akron? I think he stays.
I agree with that, Tom. He can sign anybody he wants, just like he did at the beginning of the year. He brought in Dwayne Wade. He brought in Isaiah. He got rid of Kyrie. He's the one calling the shots. He's a hometown hero. No need to leave now towards the end of your career. I agree with that, but I will give you this last one before we leave. The hot rumor on the streets right now, Tom Bock, is they signed Little Bron Jr. to go down to L.A. to play at a high school where Kenyon Martin's son is and Scottie Pippen Jr. is. So,
well, then he's going
so
to
you
LA.
know,
There you go.
The young or the oldest could be going to L.A. to ball up in high school with some big-time names there. That's why I say I think he could move the whole family down there in Sunshine. No reason to split the family up half and half there.
No, you never would. I mean, he's already got a house there. He's got a huge, amazing house there. I saw pictures of it. It's insane. So, yeah, maybe that's an easy transition for him. And nobody would accuse him of running to a front runner on the Lakers. Lakers are pretty barren as far as the cupboard of players goes. So, he'd have to recruit at least 2 or 3 other, maybe a Paul George, someone like that. Dude, I didn't realize how young Paul George is. He's only like 28. I always think of him as being an older guy. So maybe that's the move. Go to LA and get a few more players and go make another run there.
We'll see, Tom Bock. That wraps up the sports talk. Of course, congratulations to our GSW Dubs out there getting that third championship in 4 years. Pretty amazing to watch. Shout out to my dude Jordan Bell out there drinking Hennessy, then drinking Hennessy from the crowd. Put a T-shirt on, you fool.
So good.
Congratulations. I'm glad they're having fun.
So good.
Of course, good luck to the King wherever he goes next. He is one of the best players to ever do it, and wherever he goes next, he's going to do it. So get ready for that. But sound the buzzer. Let's move into topic number 3 to wrap up this podcast. This is going to be the big one. This is going to be the juicy one, so get your steak knives out and get ready to cut up these hot takes because we're moving into the big 3, Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox. Tom Bock, I'm going to let you choose which team we start off with. So where you want to go, Tom Bock?
Dude, let's go to your favorite. Let's go Xbox.
Oh,
Xbox. Let's start there, baby.
Xbox gonna give it to you. Okay, let's start off right now with Xbox. Tom Bock, I'll let you lead this. What'd you take away? Tell me.
Man, I think it was 2 weeks ago you and I talked and said the fact that things were so quiet didn't mean they were quiet. This is a Fortune 5 company, right? This is a massive juggernaut of a company. Quiet just means they're getting their shit together and they're going to do something big. Whether it'll be great or not, you didn't know, but we knew it would be big, and it was big, dude. I think that's by far Xbox, or Microsoft, couldn't call them Xbox, Microsoft's best conference that they've ever had in recent memory. I don't remember one being quite that good. They were to the point with everything. They didn't let anything linger on. There was a few things that weren't home runs, but everything was solid. I wrote down it was super professional, which maybe sounds like a little bit of a slight, but it was. They needed to come out and kind of talk about, look, Sony and Nintendo are kicking their ass this generation. There's no question. They don't have the buzz. They haven't had the first party games. There's a lot of reasons they've been deficient. I thought coming out of that position, they did exactly what they needed to do to kind of tell everybody, hey, look, we know what we're doing here. They went out and made the big announcements of the studios that they were acquiring, which is really interesting. They kind of admitted in a sense that, look, making first-party games is really hard, right? I mean, this entire thing that they've been working on there's nothing short-term. They didn't have any short-term answers. It was all long-term stuff. But they basically said, look, we're going to right the ship. I thought Phil did a great job. It was exactly the message that I needed to hear, kind of wondering what they were up to. We'll talk about the games in a minute, but dude, I couldn't have been happier with what they did. Just as a gamer, right? I always talk about I don't have a dog in the fight. I just like games. A strong Microsoft is good for everybody. And I thought they delivered message as well as they could.
I think they killed it for an hour and 50 minutes. This was a fun, riveting, and right to the point conference, like you said, Tom. There was no slow time. There's a couple pieces where they talked, but that was just for you to catch your breath from all the hype that was going down. Of course, kicking it off with Halo Infinite, not Halo 6. We've heard rumblings that people have confirmed it's Halo 6, but the name doesn't say Halo 6, because I got a vibe where, like, we're almost going backwards. That looked like Halo 1 or 2 type Spartan outfit right there. And I said to myself, man, what could Halo Infinite be? I could see them making this almost like a Master Chief collection where people are creating maps or they're making it a games as service. And, like, we're going to have Halo Infinite for a while here. So I'm not going to say it's Halo 6, but I will say seeing Master Chief, seeing some sort of Halo name, that's what I want to see to kick off the start of the conference. Moved into Ori. I thought Ori was beautiful again. I know people give that much praise. I've never played it, but I will say it looked great. And then third, I mean, this is where we cranked that speaker up to 11, Tom Bock, right there. They showed us From Software. We had that game, Skiro, The Shadows Die Twice. I mean, this was one last year when we saw that clip of that guy's arm. Everybody was yelling, it's going to be Bloodborne 2. And man, to know that this game is going to be like a ninja samurai type Souls game on Xbox 2, heck yes. Thank gosh. I mean, I love Bloodborne 2, and I got a PlayStation just so I could play that. But heck yeah, it's not exclusive. It's going to be on Xbox. That is what you want to hear as a FromSoft fan. Heck yeah, Microsoft. That was huge.
Dude, huge.
Huge. And then they moved into Battlefield V or 5, whatever you want to call it. That was a misstep. You showed me the trailer I had already seen. We had 100 game consoles out there, and you weren't going to show off the Battle Royale mode. I mean, what was the point of even showing that? That should have been kicked out the thing. Then we moved into Forza. I had a feeling like Forza Horizon was going to go to the UK. They got all the territories that you want, snow, Grassland City. I think that was perfect. I think them demoing that with 4 people, that was a misstep. That slowed the conference down a little bit. Should have hit with the trailer, keep us moving. And then he talked about the 5 studios, and I think that was a big get for them. To say, hey, we just signed this brand new studio down in Santa Monica. They're going to be like our Sony Santa Monica team, and they're going to focus on single player and kick ass. Then they got Undead Labs, who made State of Decay. I mean, now we're going to pour some money in. We might make a big State of Decay game. They got the people who made Hellblade Susuna's Sacrifice. That's a big-time company that's going to give you some stuff. They signed a couple of Playground Games, who makes Forza Horizon.
Yep.
These guys are rumored to be making a Fable right now. So come on now. Let's get it going, Microsoft. So I think the 5 were big. I mean, Tom, I could go on for hours. You got anything in the middle that I'm forgetting before I get to the end? Because the end was the best.
Yeah, the middle, not so much. I mean, I definitely freaked out from the From thing. And while you go through the games, let me bring up another point that I thought was really interesting. If you're a third party, now Microsoft clearly has been deficient first party, right? We've talked about how bad Sony's kind of kicked their ass in first party. But what was really interesting is who was from a partner with last or earlier in the generation? Sony, right? DMC5 also, which has been historically, all the Devil May Cries have always been kind of Sony related type things, right? From the get-go. Ninja Theory has always been Sony. Well, so what I thought was really fascinating was the third parties go where the money is. They go where there's the biggest install base. They don't have a dog in the fight relative to kind of, who they're going to partner with. People always talk about they go where the money is. They do. And so they definitively are betting on Microsoft. And I thought that was super fascinating that everybody, they showed, Metro Exodus showed on that. We'll talk about that. Cyberpunk, they showed on Dying Light 2, they showed on Xbox. So all of these third parties, I think, are gravitating towards Microsoft. That's not by accident. I think Sony needs to really kind of keep their antenna up to what that is, because last generation, dude, it was completely flip-flopped, right? Where no third party wanted to be hell, Microsoft couldn't get anybody to want to get on stage with them. And now everybody's clamoring to, which is really fascinating to me for what the future holds. Again, it's not in the next 6 months, but when you get into 2019 and beyond, I think they're kind of saying, hey, look, we're going to be able to compete, and hopefully both companies kind of push each other a lot harder.
Agreed, Tom. And so I got a couple of notes because I took a whole lot of notes for Xbox. In the middle, we saw PUBG. You and I talked about it. You and Earl told me no way we could talk about PUBG. They'd be booing them. Well, guess what? We came out. We gave you the PUBG roadmap, and you know what? I heard Shroud and the Doc talk about it. I think they're trying to get our Xbox version right up to the PC version, because we're going to have the Savage Lands map in summer 2018. We're getting War Mode right after that, and then everybody is getting the winter map in winter 2018. PUBG, let's go! That got me super hyped. So I was excited about that. Happy to see that. They showed off some ID at Xbox games. There was a Battle Royale game I saw in that, Islands of the Nine. We'll see if that's anything. Black Desert, nothing to me right there. We got to talk about it. The Skate 4, but it wasn't Skate 4.
Oh, I
Sessions.
thought it was they were showing it
So
Sessions.
I don't know how good that will be. I told MC Fixers and the guys, Skate 4 is on top tier level. If you can give me Sessions at about a steep to, Shaun White snowboarding level, I'll be happy. I don't think you're going to get up to Skate without the Skate name and EA behind it. So that was a miss, but people are saying that this is going to be the successor to Skate. So hopefully Sessions can be a good game right there. It's going to be tough to match because Skate is truly the best that's ever been.
It looked cool. It looked really cool. I mean, I couldn't even tell for the beginning of it that it wasn't Skate, only because we don't know what Skate's going to look like if and when it comes out. So it could be good.
I got my poster up on the wall, Tom Bock, behind me. I said in the pre-show that Cuphead will get DLC.
Oh, yeah.
Guess what? That is the biggest Microsoft exclusive faux show with how great that was. They turned on the ragtiming music. You're going to be able to play as Miss Chalice. They're giving you a whole new island. I'm sure plenty of bosses, plenty of those run-through missions. And, man, that was big time right there. I thought that was a great grab there.
Yeah, I agree. That was good. They needed to show something that was totally exclusive. I think that may have been the only thing exclusive besides Forza that they showed, I think. And the Halo and the Gears of War stuff, which we'll talk about in a minute. But, yeah, that was really cool. They showed that.
I want to touch on a brief one, a small one. Tunic. Did you see this one? That was the Zelda Fox-looking one. Whoa, that looked really cool, Tom Bock.
It looked really cool. That one caught me off guard. I had no idea, hadn't heard of that one. It looked really cool. I think my kids would love that one too. It looked really interesting.
Dying Light 2 looks like a whole lot of fire. I can't wait for that. Oh my gosh.
Love that game. Love that game, dude. That was one of my favorite games. Like, legitimately, I can't believe that game wasn't bigger than it was. That game was a riot. Great game.
And then I was really hoping for Conker's Bad Fur Day to be our mascot platformer. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But we got a close second. Battletoads, 3-player couch co-op, 2.5D and 4K. Tom Bock, what do you think about Battletoads returning in some sort of form here?
Dude, when I saw that, I sort of chuckled. But then, the first thing that hit me was when I saw that was, and I don't remember what part of the conference that was, but I literally said there is something here for every single kind of gamer, right? They hit on like every possible genre, everything from, the couch co-op-y kind of games to the really serious games. I thought that was kind of funny that they added that in there. But yeah, that's the way it was.
Well, we got to round out the Xbox conference because we still got 2 big conferences to talk about. We ended with the Gears of War logo and then a Funko Pop figure busting through the wall. And I'm sure everybody was probably tweaking out at that moment. If we weren't given 2 amazing Gears of War titles after that, Xbox owners probably would have whipped their Xbox through a window if that was just Gears of War Funko Pop. But we got a cool one. That Gears Tactic game, only on PC now, mind you, looks super cool. XCOM with Gears of War, customizable squads. It's going to be set as a prequel. Man, this is going to be a cool one, Tom Bock. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, man. I love the way that they're going to do different things with Gears. I think it's a series that could stand to have all those different things, the actual game and then the tactics type of thing and then the Funko Pop thing. They need to be careful with Gears, though, because Gears was one of those huge franchises for them. It's not been that great. I mean, I enjoyed the games, but they haven't had the kind of success they used to. So I really hope that these next series of games kind of bring it back to what Gears used to be for me, which was one of the top tier Halo-like, size games. We'll see. We'll see if they can do that. But I thought it was great the way that they're approaching it.
Tom Bock, I think this is going to be a great addition because there was rumor of Gears of War Battle Royale, which totally would not have worked. That game is not built for Battle Royale mode at all. And then there was rumor of a real-time strategy game like Halo Wars 2, which I would have been all about. I think they could have done that. But truly, when you look at the formula, if you want to make a spin-off game in a different genre, this XCOM's 2, that nails it right there. I think that tactical that role-playing game is going to be really great. And then we capped it off with Gears 5 and a trailer. That was insane, Tom Bock. I think that's really what saved the conference. I was down with Halo not having enough coverage, but man, to have a Gears of War 5 trailer, and that trailer was hot. We don't have to see any more of that game, and I would already be sold on it. What were your thoughts on the trailer, Tom?
Dude, it was beautiful looking game. Like that was one of the prettiest games of the first kind of 4K HDR games that they'd put out. Dude, that looked fantastic. And that game was great. The last Gears game was fantastic. So I'm sure they're going to continue that. That'll be a great one. They need a great Gears. The next Gears has to be really, really, really good to get kind of back to this, first party feel that they have where they have these great Microsoft only exclusives, and that certainly is one that has to kind of be great when it comes out.
Oh, so cool, Tom. Yeah, that trailer was unbelievable. And then we had Phil come out, talk about Microsoft, letting you know that you are safe with your consoles right now, but we are in production of making another console because we want to be the best console there is. So be prepared.
Consoles.
Yeah,
he said
exactly.
Plural. He said plural consoles.
Be prepared in the next couple of years. You will be getting another Xbox, but at least he gave you the heads up and lets you know that you're safe currently with your Xbox One X, which makes me good. You and I talked about it last week. I don't think I was ready for it, but when you really break down the numbers, we've had this console cycle for quite some time. It is time to go on to the next one. I just don't want to say goodbye quite yet.
I know.
And then they started moving into AI, talking about that, and that's when we had the boop, boop, beep, bop, bop, bop. Everything took over. And this was a butt clench moment because Cyberpunk 2077 just took over your life right there. What'd you think of that, Tom?
Dude, that was not at all what I expected that game to look like. Like I thought it was. It was vibrant. It was colorful. The CD Projekt Red is really kind of got a really distinct vision for what this game is going to be. I watched some stuff today about it, some of the behind the scenes, closed door stuff that they were showing down on the show floor. Dude, that game has got me incredibly excited. I love the fact that they put it on the Xbox stage, that Xbox got that partnership kind of together. Dude, watch out for that game. That game could be one of those obviously Witcher sized, just it looked so cool to me. I love that cyberpunk vibe. Dude, that if that game plays as cool as it looks, that game is going to be incredible.
Tom, that was unbelievable. And like you said, if this is like anything like The Witcher, but in that cyberpunk setting, oh gosh, this is going to be a game to never stop playing right here.
I agree.
That concludes Microsoft. I thought the X gave it to you all 150 minutes or, an hour and 50 minutes. That was unbelievable, Tom. I think they did a great job. Phil and the crew should be truly happy, and you should be pumped up about owning an Xbox right now because they did a great job for you. The 5 studios, all the games, they're letting you know they're around and ready to rock, which I'm pleased with.
Agreed.
Tom Bock, let's save Sony for last because I think Sony was really great. Let's just kind of bust through Nintendo really quick. Nintendo, what'd you think?
Dude, like I said, it's, Nintendo kind of pioneered this idea of doing these directs, right? Where they just come out, they're very scripted. I mean, obviously scripted. They're filmed. They can rewatch them, produce them. They can make them as perfect as they want them. I thought it was fine. Like the presentation of it was probably better than there was no cringe moments. There was no awkwardness. Although I will say, so that's on the presentation side. Dude, on the game side, that's the first time that I felt like what they have coming is pretty barren. Like and maybe it was just me. I think there was 10 or 11 games that they talked about. We can talk about exactly what those were in a minute. But man, there just wasn't a lot of substance there. At least it didn't seem like to me. I'm not a big Smash guy. We can talk about that in a little bit. But because so much of it was about Smash, I just didn't see a whole bunch of stuff, right? And I'm concerned they have this huge momentum. I only use my Switch now when I'm traveling, which is probably kind of a travesty. But man, I just expected there to be more for some reason. I mean, the Fortnite thing was really cool. It shows that they're willing to embrace third-party stuff. But there just wasn't a lot there that was like giant, pillar games besides Smash. They didn't show the Yoshi game. They didn't show. They showed Fire Emblem, a few others, but they didn't show Metroid. They didn't show, some of the ones that I kind of expected to see. But I don't know, man. The presentation was great. Content was a little bit light. That's how I kind of summed it up.
I was only there for the 2 games that I cared about, and that is Pokemon, Pikachu, and Eevee Go. I think that's going to be fun, cool. I like the extended, the the extra Pokeball you can buy. I like
Right, the
going
little
back to the
accessory.
Kanto region. I am a red and blue guy through and through. That is my childhood. And so to go back to that, I think it's going to be a great time. They've already told you that they're making the next generation next year. So I think they struck on Pokemon. It was kind of a rehash of everything that we already knew. So I think we could have kept that a little bit faster. But Smash Bros. Looked great. That's why I own a Switch, because, man, Smash Bros. Is a fun game. And to give you every single character that's ever been there, whoa, that is a lot of gameplay to get into. So those are my two big ones. Everything else was kind of meh to me because I'm not a big Nintendo guy. So those two, that's all I wanted.
You know what's interesting too is on the and look, I was never a huge Smash guy. It's kind of interesting, but can it really be that different of a game than all the other Smashes have been? Because it's got such a formula of what that game is, right? You can't really deviate too far from it. It's a single screen fighting game where you got to knock people off the edges. That's what that game is. And so I don't know how you keep coming up with new ones that are that different, other than what they're doing is adding all the characters to it, which have totally different move sets and they act differently. And I get all that. I just don't know how you make a big deal out of that game when it seems like every Smash before it, it's going to be a lot like the past Smashes have been. So I don't know. I've never really gotten the fever around Smash, just maybe because I haven't had people to play with, because that's kind of what that game's about. But yeah, they did fine. I mean, again, I think they need to be concerned. Nintendo's in a weird place. They've got a lot of momentum right now. Everybody loves their Switch. They're riding this huge wave of they made the right bet on the right console at the right time. Everything kind of went off to the races, and now it's sort of like got this weird lull feeling to it, almost like you got to dust it off now kind of a thing. And so they're going to have some big games, but that thing is going to start sitting on shelves a little longer than they're going to want it to. That's just my opinion.
That's a hot take right there, Tom. And I think of the wave, the ebb and flow, and I think we are kind of in that ebb right now. Mario Tennis Aces is not going to be a huge one. Yep. It's going to be good, but it's not a massive one. I think they're really banking on Fortnite is going to be great on the console. Let's get to Pokemon right now in November, October, whenever that comes out. That will save us. And then Smash Bros. In December. That will get us through that holiday push, and then we'll realign come the springtime, see what's going to be that next big title for them. I think those three will push us to the limit here with the Switch, which will definitely continue on that rise. But like you said, Tom, what's next? What are you going to draw me with? You did not show me what you call Metroid Prime. We didn't see any of that. That would be a next spring title that would keep us interested, you know? To wrap up Nintendo, any other thoughts?
Not really, man. I'm just like I said, I'm interested to see what they're going to come out with here. They've got to really kind of put another big game out there, a big pillar game. Everything is kind of far off in the distance now anyway, so I'm kind of excited to see what they're going to come up with next.
Okay. I like that, Tom Bock. Well, let's move on to the big one. Sony came out a couple weeks beforehand, said they're going to really spotlight 4 big titles. They actually did a little bit more than I thought. They spotlighted a couple of smaller games as well. I mean, they're big titles, but like they got their smaller moments. Let's jump into it. What'd you think, Tom?
So the word that I wrote for Sony was conflicted, and what I mean by that is, it was a really weird show, right? They had a big intermission. they were moving people around, which I've never seen at an E3 before. They get an audience in, they do a thing, they move the audience to another theater, which I'd love to know if anybody in the chat or anywhere else it was actually at E3 for that. That was really strange to me that they had an intermission in a 1 hour long show that went on for like 15 minutes. Like, what was the point of that? So, from presentation standpoint, I basically give them a super terrible mark for what I don't know what they were thinking to do that. On the flip side, the games that they showed were phenomenal, right? Everything, obviously the four kind of big pillar games that we knew that they were going to show, but then the announcements that they had, games that I love like Resident Evil 2 and Neo 2. So I was conflicted because the presentation was so crappy and yet the games were so good. Last of Us 2, maybe the best demo I've ever seen of a game, maybe ever. I said that about Uncharted 4 when I first saw it a couple of E3s ago. But dude, that was one of the craziest, if not the craziest. Dude, there's a guy that gets disemboweled at the beginning of that freaking trailer. If you've gone back and watched it again, that shit is insane, man. That trailer was like nothing I've ever seen before. So yeah, that was my big takeaway as I was kind of conflicted. And why did they need to be kind of cute with the presentation? Why not just come out and do what they always do? Give me an hour, give me the games. I didn't get the whole idea of moving people and doing the intermission thing. That just kind of didn't do it for me.
Tom, I agree. I think that was a small payoff for that initial, hey, we're in the barn and here's the trailer. I don't think we needed that. Didn't see any Shuhei, which was interesting. Where was Shu? Didn't see that. But I will say, Last of Us looks amazing. We knew that coming in, that it was going to be great. We didn't know it was going to be Ellie grown up. And we definitely heard that Joel still might be around. So that would be awesome if he's still around. I will say, if you're a fan of that Ghost of Tsushima game, me personally, I would be worried, Tom Bock, with the announcement of Neo 2 and that Skiro Shadows Never Die Twice. That's a lot of samurai hack and slash type gameplay. And I don't know, Tom, it is a Sony first party game. It's probably going to have a lot of backing. But man, after Neo in this game, I don't know if I really want to go play that. It didn't look all that interesting to me, Tom.
Well, it's Sucker Punch, right? So it's kind of it's not really their jam. So it's really interesting. And you're right. Isn't it strange that there's like 3 or 4 samurai type games coming out, and 2 of them are by really huge studios who know what they're doing, between From and from the follow-on to Neo, which Neo was one of my favorite games here recently that I sunk way too many hours into. It's so much like Dark Souls. It's almost frightening. So, I mean, there just was no surprises in this for them for what they showed. Spider-Man looked fantastic, I thought, obviously.
That looks great. Can't wait for that, Tom. I mean, Spidey looks good. We already knew he looked good with Insomniac. We've just been waiting for this release date. The interesting one is, who is that character that showed up at the end of the trailer?
I don't know.
Bright Light. Is it somebody that's going to help him? I was adding it up. Are we going to get the Sinister Six or their version of it? There was already 5 villains on the crates. This could be the 6th one coming in. Maybe it's the Goblin on his thing. Maybe it's Mysterio. But I was adding it up in my head like, maybe that's a bad guy. That would be cooler if it was. If it's Tony Stark in the Iron Man costume, that's great. But I don't want to play as Tony Stark. This is Spider-Man. I don't need any other characters.
Yeah, dude, no doubt. And I have a feeling that they're gonna throw so many. It'll sort of be like the last Batman game where there's 20 other villain. It's going to be just loaded up with villains. I have a feeling, right? They're going to throw the kitchen sink at all the different kind of Spider-Man lore in that one. Dude, you know what else kind of caught me that was kind of interesting? Of the 4 games they showed, do you realize that only one of them's coming out this year? So They spent, dude, and I mean, you tell me, when do you think Last of Us is coming out? I don't even know if it's a 2019 game.
Really?
Right?
I was hoping it would be spring 2019 is my optimistic side. I mean, holiday 2019 would be like, we have to do this. Anything further than that, I mean, we're losing the buzz now. I can't go through another E3 with a big trailer and not have a release date of within that holiday window. That would be moving it too slow right there for me.
Dude, it would be. And then Death Stranding has got to be, that can't be 2019, can it? That's got to be 2020, right?
Tom Bock, I will wait eternity to play Death Stranding because that game looks absolutely insane. I don't know what's happening. Norman Reedus is walking. He's a walking simulator. He's the delivery guy taking naked showers. Got a baby. He's ripping off his toenails. Then some hot blonde chick shows up. She's like, hey, what level are you? And he's like, I don't know. I'm just a postman. And she's like eating babies. I don't know what the hell was happening there. But, man, That game looked crazy for sure. And that game could be another 5 years out, like you said, Tom. We don't even know where that is.
So, I mean, that's kind of back to my point is why were they showing all these games that are that far away? That was very un-Sony-like, and especially because they wanted to focus. I mean, I kind of thought we knew what games were going in, so this wasn't like it was a big surprise. But if you're going to focus on 4 games, do you really want to focus on, and maybe they're not as far off as I think, and I'm praying that Last of Us is not that far off. I'm praying that Ghost is not that far off, but Death Stranding sure as hell is. That game is nowhere near done. I mean, he's notoriously slow, Kojima is, for making games as it is. That game is going to, I mean, that could be a PlayStation 5 game for all we know, right? At the pace that it's probably going to move along. So it's kind of hard to tell with that. It was an interesting conference though, man. I think I expected something different out of the conference. And so it kind of threw me, although the Last of Us was so good that I think it kind of made up for everything else that I didn't like about it. I went back and watched that over and over and over because I just couldn't believe what I saw. If it was scripted, I mean, dude, go back and watch that trailer as closely as you can at all the little weird stuff that happens, like when she gets shot or gets shot and misses, glass breaking. And I mean, there's so much going on that it almost felt like it was a cutscene, not gameplay, because it was so intricate. It was just amazing.
Oh, Tom, I actually think Sony did a great job. Like you said, the 4 could be way off there, but man, to bring the heavy hitters out, to have Death Stranding in some gameplay action, that was amazing. I mean, that Ghost of Tsushima game, I might tell you I don't like it that much, but it still looked beautiful. It looked fun as can be. Spider-Man stole the show. Like, this game cannot come out soon enough. This game is going to be a whole lot of fun. And Last of Us, we already know that's going to be a game of a generation again right there. So good. And, yeah, a little bit different. A little more like, let's just keep the trailers going. Not much talking from them. Xbox had more talking, but a lot more trailers going on. But they were a little bit different. Usually they talk a little more. Not much talking from Sony, which was interesting to see.
Yeah, did it feel, I mean, I don't know if the word is arrogant is probably too strong of a word. Look, they're playing from such a position of strength right now, right? That they've just it felt a little, I don't know what the right word is. It felt a little like self-indulgent almost is maybe the right word. I don't know. It was great though. I'm not trying to criticize it. They've done so well. I just think that they need to kind of be they need to be worried about what Microsoft is doing. They do, right? Like that's just the way the industry works, and they've kind of flip-flopped back and forth over the years. But man, if Naughty Dog is not the best developer on the planet right now, like I don't know who is. I don't know that anybody could make a game that looks the way that game looks. They just can't.
Oh, amazing, Tom Bock. Well, that wraps up all of our E3 coverage. That wraps up our sports topics. That wraps up episode 8 of the Game Time Podcast. We battled through some connection problems, but man, did we have a ton of fun. And of course, we want to hear you in the comments down below, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on SoundCloud. Let us know what were some of your get hype moments from E3 2018. There was a whole lot of games. We didn't even touch on some of them, but let us know in the comments. Of course, Tom Bock loves when you leave feedback, so let us know what you guys thought. Tom Bock, thank you so much for joining me for another week of podcasting with two best friends. Tommy Gunn, Tom Bock, tell them where they can find you.
Dude, find me on Twitter at Gunga. Sorry for the connection problems, man. Skype was not cooperating tonight whatsoever. Hopefully we can edit it up and get it all looking good.
Not a problem. Of course, this is your boy SnowBikeMike saying thank you all so much for tuning in. You can find me at SnowBikeMike. Give us your E3 hot takes. Take care of yourselves this week, gamers, and we'll see you next week for episode 9 as we continue to chug along on the Game Time Podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Peace out.
Peace.